This is BNS Exposé, a weekly commentary about topics and events happening in the world today. And now, the president of Beatrice Media, Do It Hoops.
There seems to be this obsession to push the USA to a more centralized and socialist utopia, and I use the term utopia in a very light manner. Many potential voters that are falling for this trick into a socialistic type of governance, without many of those that are running for office in the 2024 U.S. federal elections, actually coming out and stating that they are advocating for socialism. To be fair, though, there are a handful that are openly members of the Democratic Socialist of America, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, better known as AOC, and at least she is honest about what she stands for, while there are those that are sneaking socialism into our U.S. Republic. Those who are openly advocating for a Democratic Socialist of America, like AOC, and those that are just sneaky and pretend to be for the average citizen, like Vice President Kamala Harris or Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. You can't get any more dangerous than these two with their integrity issues and inability to be just honest with the citizens of the U.S. Republic. All one has to do is carefully listen to what they are saying and disseminate their very words. Kamala Harris, for example, wants to enact pricing controls on grocery stores and food distribution. However, with a quick history lesson, socialism was tried in Eastern Europe after World War II, with the USSR essentially enforcing satellite nations like Albania, Bulgaria, Czechoslovakia, East Germany, Hungary, Poland, and Romania to adopt a centralized socialist-style government, much like the USSR. Their brand of socialism was more commonly known as international socialism or communism, which endeavored to export this type of system to other parts of the planet, either through proxy wars or, in the case of the U.S. Republic, infiltrate our universities, public school systems, and entertainment industry, all with a goal to gradually indoctrinate the populace. Now, to be very clear, socialism in any form, whether it be international socialism, communism, national socialism, fascism, or regular socialism, like you find it in most of the European Union nations, invariably is not a godly concept and leads to dependence on the overreaching and all-consuming government to take away your freedoms and liberty. International socialism, communism, completely takes over all aspects of business, education, and agriculture, and enforces pricing controls and has historically led to the mass starvation and death of untold millions of people. Just look at the death and starvation of Ukrainians between the years 1932 and 33, due to the tyrant Joseph Stalin imposing collectivism on the Ukrainian farms. 3.9 million died as a result. Between 1959 and 1961, the Great Chinese Famine caused the unnecessary death of 10 to 15 to even 55 million people. The Great Leap Forward, as it was known, as was officially termed by the Chinese Communist Party, in an attempt to modernize and restructure old China into the socialist paradise that they envisioned. And we have the very dangerous and ideological psychopaths running for various offices in the U.S. Republic, including for President, Senate, and Congress that hide behind the U.S. Constitution that want to upturn what our men and women in uniform fought and died to protect us from becoming a socialist nightmare, where you will see mass shortages of food and consumer goods to where your children are no longer yours, but to the all-might consuming socialist state. National Socialism, or what many will specifically call Nazism, which in itself is a made-up name, the true definition of National Socialism is a form of fascism and is every bit as nefarious and evil as International Socialism. National Socialism allowed private ownership of business so long as you work closely with the National Socialist government, like that of National Socialist Germany of 1933 to 1945. There was much collaboration with the National Socialists, but also coercion to toe the line. There seems to be in today's society a very dangerous precedent for big tech companies and the mainstream media to collaborate with the Democratic Party in the U.S. Republic and to squash any dissenting voices and to ensure that the voices of neutrality or that of a different thought than the other side wants is pushed out of the public eye, which is essentially how Neues Deutschland, the party newspaper of the Socialist Unity Party of Germany in the former German Democratic Republic, had pushed. And like both National Socialism and International Socialism, schools heavily indoctrinated the youth and poisoned their minds to be obedient to the government and to fill their minds with twisted ideology and to even encourage children to report on their parents, neighbors, and friends. National Socialist Germany fired teachers and professors en masse that did not follow the socialist ideology. Now, just see what ideological anti-Christian requirements teachers now must adhere to starting in 2025 that Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota signed into law. How anyone can't see this for what it is blind, and it is no different than the psychotic National Socialists and International Socialists. History is repeating itself right here in the U.S. Republic. Karl Marx, born in 1818, co-authored the Manifesto of the Communist Party in 1848 with Friedrich Engels. Expelled from the Kingdom of Prussia in 1843, Marx in 1867 saw the publication of Das Kapital, which was meant to be a critique of the capitalist form of production. These two men created publications that have resulted in the death of millions of people in the turbulent 20th century when the old order of Europe had collapsed after World War I and beyond. Whether National Socialism or International Socialism, their firm belief is that God is not real and the total obedience to the state is to be obeyed and is demonic to its core. Many believers in Christ are blind to the foundational tenets of either brand of socialism and should be wise and discerning. 1. God is not real. 2. Humans are good. 3. The state is the final authority. 4. Children belong to the state, not to the parents. 5. All people must be equal. 6. The product of one's labor is shared by those who have not labored. 7. The state eliminates private property. Look, socialism has been tried in Venezuela and Cuba, and with disastrous effects. A once thriving economy and peaceful nation, Venezuela is reeling in shortages from basic consumer goods like toilet paper to food products, and all because the government of previous Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez and current President Nicolas Maduro and their United Socialist Party of Venezuela has gutted the once prosperous nation with their hard-fisted socialist form of government. And the people have suffered greatly as a result. Also, who can remember back to the 1989 revolutions in the former Warsaw Pact nations like Poland, East Germany, Romania, etc.? People were tired of the socialistic communist governments that had ruled them since the end of World War II. The German Democratic Republic, known as East Germany, was considered the most prosperous of the Warsaw Pact nations, but with mismanagement and typical communist collectivism, East Germany by the late 1980s was practically bankrupt. It's been tried before, yet the psychotic politicians who want to transform the U.S. Republic economy, culture, and system of government, and God forbid, our Constitution into something that would resemble a dystopian nightmare is unfathomable. If voters choose this for the future, then it will only end in disaster like others before us. Choose wisely, or your future could be very dark and bleak. Socialists love to rewrite history and even destroy it right before our eyes, and this was done with such furor during the Russian Revolution in 1917 when the Bolsheviks destroyed Orthodox churches, Romanov imperial symbols like statues, and did revisionist history in schools. Examples of what the communists did in East Germany after World War II was cultural barbarism, and examples of this are on links you can read for yourself what the Socialist Unity Party of the German Democratic Republic did to historic palaces and monuments in Berlin in 1950, which was criminal. Fast forward to the 2020s, and cultural barbarism has infested the U.S. Republic with the destruction of historic monuments. Thugs like Antifa, BLM, and others that relish the destruction of history, all because it makes them feel uncomfortable or not to fit their current narrative. These thugs and their supporters would feel right at home with the socialists of the tyrannical leadership of Joseph Stalin and his Warsaw Pact lackeys. Socialism is evil and will lead to eventual ruin and a sense of false fulfillment. In closing, the following quote should hit hard for those with any common sense. A communist is nothing more than a Nazi painted red, or red-painted Nazis. Weimar Republic and later West German politician Kurt Schumacher. Socialism is the Diet Coke of communism. Same great taste of regular Coke, without the guilt of drinking the calories. Unknown. Don't expect to build up the weak by pulling down the strong. U.S. President Calvin Coolidge. To learn who rules over you, simply find out who you're not allowed to criticize. Kevin Alfred Strom. Patriotism is supporting your country all the time, and your government when it deserves it. Mark Twain. Politicians are the lowest form of life on earth. Liberal Democrats are the lowest form of politicians. George S. Patton, General of the U.S. Army. Do not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good morals. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33. He who walks with wise men will be wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. Proverbs chapter 13, verse 20.
This has been a BNS Exposé from Beatrice Media. Visit us at bnsglobalnews.com and join us again next time for another BNS Exposé.